It opens up some doors, some things like back in the Civil War when for somebody. Kid was treasurer before.
Oh, okay. I mean, that is a good discussion. I just find it really interesting. Yeah. Jeff Charlotte. Fantastic life. It was a story of Sherman's march in the line just about it. Then to Columbia, ultimately at the end of the war. It was really interesting. Very enlightening.
So it was fairly factual.
Well, it was to some extent, but I mean, it really talked about sort of how that army operated. You know, how Sherman was really strict, but you know, out of sight, out of mind. You know, the further away you got, the more prone you were. You know, and he didn't really believe in punishing people during the campaign. He did. He did not.
I've read a few books like that. It's fascinating. Logistics. Just amazing.
I'll never forget. Really, my father came back from New York.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to have you here for our Chatham Area Transit Authority Board of Directors meeting for June the 21st. And now I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Chairman McHaggis.
Here.
Dr. Thomas.
Here.
Mr. Broker.
Here.
Mr. Dawson.
Here.
Mr. Durant.
Here.
Mr. French.
Here.
Mr. Holmes.
Here.
Mr. Madoff.
Here.
Ms. Stone. Present. Thank you.
Okay, everybody was distributed minutes that we had on May the 24th and May the 31st. And are there any additions or corrections to any one of those meetings? If not, we need a motion on the floor
I'll
to
move for their
approve.
approval. Second.
I have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next, the presentations, the Employee Group Health Insurance Benefits, Seacrest.
Seacrest has a presentation for us. Terry,
Yeah. Is this what I can't see from here?
that's slideshow.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Terry Doyle, Seacrest Partners. We have the privilege of being the broker for Chatham Area Transit Authority, and we're very pleased to do this presentation today for the renewal of the benefits plan for July 1, 2016. Our renewal process at Seacrest Partners is one that we do every year, about 2 months out of the renewal date for our groups. We monitor CAT's insurance policies and procedures, of course, all during the year. And then we also conduct quarterly meetings with the staff and the executive committee to go over the finances on a quarterly basis and talk about any issues we might have or programming needs we do. Then we market for request for proposals, and we market the life, the vision, the dental, the life, the disability, and the voluntary products, as well as taking proposals for self-funded opportunities for CAT. After we do that, we are reviewing all of those marketing results, doing spreadsheets, and looking at what our recommendations might be. CAT has been insured with Blue Cross Blue Shield for 20 plus years. Last year, in 2015, we negotiated a 5% increase, which began originally at a 9% from Blue Cross Blue Shield. And I'm very, very pleased to tell you this year, we're at a 0 increase for 2016. The original renewal came in at 7% with no plan design changes for 2015. Like I said, we started out with 7, we negotiated them down to 0, and it always helps to have a little competition. However, we had the fully insured carriers come in. Of course, the incumbent, we had Cigna, Aetna, Humana, United Healthcare. Cigna declined to quote because they said they could not compete with Blue Cross Blue Shield's numbers. Humana just matched the current rate, so not a real incentive to make a change. Aetna and United Healthcare offers were 2 to 3% above the Blue Cross Blue Shield current rates. We had some self-funded proposals coming in as well, and unfortunately they were 10 to 15% cost increase to CAT, because most of those self-funded proposals and reinsurance carriers were looking at what they felt like should have been the rate, which was probably that 7% rate that we negotiated back down to 0. So our recommendation was, without any changes whatsoever, to renew the medical with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Taking questions during your presentation or
Absolutely.
after?
You can take them during the presentation, be fine. On our self-funded evaluation, like I said, we continue to evaluate the feasibility of CAT going self-funded on an annual basis. The quote would involve contracting with a third-party administrator for claims administration and utilization review management, reinsurance coverage, network access, and of course the pharmacy benefit management. We would also be establishing a separate fund for paying the medical claims.
That's the question I want to ask.
Okay.
What's the benefit for that separate fund?
Well, the separate fund would be an ERISA requirement that you set up a trust fund for the medical plan away from your general plan, so that you're collecting some premiums that go into that fund, and then you're also paying claims out of that fund. So that fund is dedicated only to the self-funded plan, not anything else.
So that's a benefit to us or to the employee or who?
It's a benefit for you if the numbers prove to be self-funded to be good for you, because it would be a benefit in that you control that money.
So if the number's not good,
No.
it's not.
Right now, it's not an option, in our opinion, to go self-funded, because why would you pay more when Blue Cross is coming back in and giving you a 0 increase? So you might as well take advantage of that while you can. If we have a year where they give you a large increase and self-funded looks feasible, then that's certainly the direction we're going to look at.
All right.
And that, excuse me, and you set up that fund separately, obviously.
Yes.
To protect the company from utilizing funds.
Absolutely.
Are earmarked for insurance benefits.
Because there's the fiduciary responsibility, because you're also collecting premiums from your employees.
Right.
So all of that's in a separate fund as well.
We would, if when we move to this in the future, if the cost benefit is there, we would set up a whole separate bank account, and it would all be run separately.
First, let me qualify my question by saying I'm not promoting a partner in particular, but my wife works at St. Joseph's Candler, and we have a policy, our health policy through them. And I believe they also work with the city in doing a self-funded plan like this. Do you partner with somebody like that, or is
Absolutely.
it possible to partner? And these costs are still too high in that partnership?
Yes. And one thing you have to consider, like St. Joe Candler, which by the way is one of our clients as well, is when you get into the St. Joe Candler network, you're only using St. Joe Candler and their physicians. You're not privileged to use Memorial. So St. Joe Candler has a network that they use through the Savannah Business Group, which is Care Network. And then you have Memorial, which is Healthcare Partners. They have their own network too, and they do, for instance, Gulfstream. So if you go that route, you're looking at one hospital system over the other, and it gets real aggressive as far as the rates are concerned. They're big competitors, so they do have some good rates. But if you want to keep, which one of our goals with CAT was to see if we could find a network where they could still use all 3 hospitals, and there would be very little disruption in hospitals or providers. So we did that. We went to carriers that we could pair networks that would offer both hospitals and both systems.
Does Blue Cross Blue Shield not have an
They
in-service
do have a network, but they do not, at this point, rent that network out to independents. So Blue Cross Blue Shield came to us, and we got a Blue Cross Blue Shield self-funded proposal using their network and their administration. So it's in here as well.
That's what this is.
Yes. So if you look at the slide, we had proposals from Blue Cross Blue Shield on self-funded basis. We went to 5 different reinsurance carriers for quotes on the reinsurance portion of it. 3 claims administrators, independent claims administrators, and several pharmacy benefit managers for prescription drugs. So we went to lots of different markets, including Blue Cross Blue Shield, but the results just did not look financially feasible.
Right now, the reason self-funded is not economically viable is because we want to keep the network open to all the systems here.
Well, not only that, that's just a portion of it. The big portion was that it costs more money at this point in time. It's more money for you to go into the self-funded world right now, and there's more administration on your part too. So for right now, it's just the numbers aren't there to make it feasible.
Well, I'm not promoting it. I just want to make sure I understand.
Yeah,
And it sounded like
absolutely.
you were saying because of the competitive nature between Memorial and St. Joseph's Candler, it might actually be better if we were willing to stay within it.
Right, but at this point, even with those numbers and the reinsurance numbers, I don't think it would make a difference this time.
All right, thank you.
CAT also offers the employees a health reimbursement arrangement, which is an HRA. And the HRA is an account that's fully funded by CAT, and it's designed to help the employees cover their out-of-pocket medical expenses that are not otherwise covered by the plan. So the HRA is designed to reduce that member's deductible by covering services subject to the deductible. So each member right now is reimbursed upon filing a claim to Admin America, who is the one that administers this, for half of their $2,000 deductible, effectively resulting in a $1,000 deductible. So the year that we had to raise that deductible to $2,000, the HRA certainly helped those individuals with that deductible because they can get reimbursed for $1,000. So it's working well, and we recommend that CAT continue doing that.
Is that done for the first 1,000 or prorated through the deductible?
Yes, the first 1,000 of their deductible. Excuse me, the second 1,000. They pay one, and CAT pays the
We
second.
pay the second 1,000 if it gets to that.
That's correct. So if they, in effect, they have $1,000 deductible.
And doesn't that assist you in keeping your deductibles in place so that, you know, you can have a higher deductible if you
Absolutely.
attack something like this?
It helps the rate because Blue Cross is basing their rate on a $2,000 deductible plan.
Right.
They're not really looking at whether you have an HRA or not.
Right.
That's something
Right.
you do internally.
Isn't that a common mechanism for companies in order to keep a higher deductible?
Absolutely.
It does attract a rate.
Because usually that difference between the premium is enough to fund
Yeah,
that HRA.
yeah.
Because when you think about deductibles, you may have maybe 10 to 20% of your total population that ever get to that $2,000.
Do we actually have an audit on that cost of what it's costing us versus what it
Yes,
would be if
and
we
it's
weren't
in
paying?
the detail package.
So that
This
does-
slide is very basic, but you have a booklet that goes into more detail. The Chatham Area Transit Authority dental plan is also with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they offered us a 0 increase on the dental as well. So we didn't see any need for any changes there, and these are the dental coverages that are in place right now. It's a $1,500 max with a $1,500 on ortho, and the ortho is for dependents only up to age 19. So our recommendation was to renew with Blue Cross Blue Shield at a 0 increase. And that goes for the vision as well. The vision is also with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it's currently under a rate guarantee with VSP, which is Vision Services Plan, and that doesn't expire to July of 2017. So when this was put in, we got a 2-year rate guarantee. So we didn't see making any changes. We certainly review it before renewal in 2017. The CAT Life, AD&D, and voluntary life, again, we moved to Cigna and have a 2-year rate guarantee, and so Cigna does not renew until July 2017. And CAT provides a basic life and AD&D, the short-term disability and the long-term disability at no cost to the employee. So these are benefits your full-time employees receive that CAT pays for. Now, the employees may purchase some additional life from Cigna, and they do that on their own payroll deduction. So our recommendation, of course, was to continue with Cigna and review that again prior to the renewal in 2017. The short and long-term disability. even though we had, the rate guaranteed to 2017, we went back to them and negotiated some changes in the plan. We revised the benefit revisions with no rate adjustment, and we took the STD weekly maximum increase from $500 a week to $1,000. And we changed the LTD monthly maximum benefit reduction for the union employees according to their contract from the $5,000 to $2,000, which was what was stated in the contract. So we had these changes done through Cigna. They agreed to increase the basic life coverage for the executives and non-union employees to 2 times annual salary. And they did all of this within the parameters of the rates we already have, and no rate changes until 2017. So we were very pleased to be able to negotiate that with Cigna. I think that's it. And like I said earlier, in this booklet, they...
I have a question, I have a comment.
Okay.
I've been in this for a long, long time with these insurance rates, and I can't remember the last time I've seen a zero increase.
I know. Well,
without some sort of a change in the plan.
Exactly.
Very good job.
Thank you so much. I can tell you that all the groups that I handle through Seacrest Partners, you're the only group that I have that has a zero increase. And it's really because of your relationship with Blue Cross Blue Shield, longevity, our relationship with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and the utilization of the plan, because this year the loss ratio for this plan was 75%, which is good. So
Anybody else got any more questions? Bill?
And is that a much better ratio than previous years?
Yes. It's a very good loss ratio.
Of those 3 factors, which would you say is the most important in terms of keeping
The loss ratio. Let's face it, they're not going to be paying out a lot more claims than they're taking in premium.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of expenses associated with premium. So yeah, the loss ratio was a big factor. So, we're working on some wellness initiatives. So I think we're going in the right direction, and we just want to keep that loss ratio where it is.
Yeah. I mean, are there things that we did to promote that ratio? I mean, are there things we did that...
Well, I think so. You want to address some of that? I mean, we have the gym.
We have the gym that is open to employees 24/7, and we have employees that are using it. Blue Cross Blue Shield has been sending out specific direct marketing data to employees who have specific illnesses and diseases that I think they'll take advantage of.
So what Blue Cross will do is, through their case management and UR, will target some, like a high blood pressure. We're not privy to that information, and neither is she, and we should not be. But they will send some communication out to those individuals saying, this is available if you'd like to participate, or, that kind of thing.
And also, before I forget, they are also encouraging employees to move from using brand prescriptions to using generic drugs if it's equivalent and it's been successful.
And your experience on moving from name brand drugs up to generics has been really, really good. I think that you are about in the 80th% of drugs in the generic category, which is excellent. Even though generic drugs, of course, are going up as well, but brand names are out of sight.
Wayne?
Would it be correct to read into this that our employees in general are healthier because the utilization rate
Yes,
is
I
lower?
think you can, yeah.
Helen and then Bill.
Are there, and I know we've looked at this in the county level, are there incentives for employees, say that one that is targeted with high blood pressure, that is diligent about having it checked and taking their meds? Are there any incentives for that?
We are beginning to have some more in-depth meetings on the wellness issues with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And of course, all that's affected by ACA, the Accountable Care Act, what you can and cannot do, and what you have to offer as an alternative. So and that's changed a little bit as of recently. So we have to look at the whole picture.
I guess
and
that
yes,
whole concept of incentives for being healthy.
Right.
In the county, we penalize people that smoke. They have to pay more. So I just see this movement towards incentives for people that are making an effort.
absolutely.
To take their medications, go to the gym, and I would like to see more of that.
Yeah, we've talked about a program of like actually utilizing the gym more and doing some kind of gift cards for card punch, or there's a lot of different
Right.
things we're looking at. So
Right, but somehow it seems everything that I've read, if it helps reduce their portion of the payment coming out of their
Oh, yeah.
pocket, it makes a difference.
Absolutely, and a lot of our clients do that.
And it has helped the county in that because of that no smoking, you know, and their premium goes up.
Right.
And then we saw, when, you know, as Helen was just saying, the county commission is getting the benefit of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Bill?
Well, my question was really essentially the same thing. In our plan, you have multiple options based on wellness behavior, not smoking and obesity control and that sort of thing. And it actually impacts your wallet.
Yes,
I would like
and
to
that's
see
where
us-
you get their attention.
Right.
Yeah, they have to have skin in the game. And when it affects the money out of their pocket, there is a big incentive for them to participate and be compliant and all of those things that we want them to do. So we're definitely working towards that.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, as you see, their recommendation is to continue with Cigna until 2017. And
I'll make that motion.
we got one motion, need a second. We have a second on that. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah, I got it. I'm just gonna see something. Okay, action items on item 4 to start off. The first one, budget amendment fiscal year 2015-2016.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Staff requests approval for a budget amendment for the fiscal year 2015-2016 budget that provides for an increase in the special tax district revenue based on actual digest growth and adjust advertising revenue for presentation change. Basically, the tax judges, we estimated at 1%, and it came in at 4%, and so there's adjustments that we want to make to the budget.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that?
We estimated it at 1% growth, but it came in at 4% growth.
Right.
So we're making the according adjustments to our current budget.
Okay, but you're not proposing a millage increase?
No.
Can I ask a question on that? I was a little surprised to see that a difference of 3% resulted only in $154,000. So those numbers are right. Okay. Just seemed awfully small.
Well,
But-
I appreciate the flexibility of this board to adjust the numbers because, you know, it shows that you have been good stewards with the finances and that we can do this without imposing a millage increase. And I think that's very important, and I appreciate that.
Need if there's other questions on that, Wayne?
I was just gonna comment that, you know, we need the additional allocation to parent transit because it's growing at the rate that it's growing.
Double digits.
It was the area that had the greatest negative variance, and we had not budgeted for the contract service piece, so I put the entire increase in that cost.
Do we get any more money from the county for that?
Yes, all the cost is still built through at our contractual rate of $37.04 per service hour.
Any other questions? Need a motion on the floor.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second on the floor for the budget amendments 2015 through 2016. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next, employee group insurance renewal. Curtis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Request board approval for CAT's employee group insurance cover health reimbursement, arrangement, dental, vision, life, short and long-term disability for the following fiscal year. Presentation that was given by Seacrest basically covers this action item.
Do we need another motion?
Well,
Well, it was actually, at this point in the agenda, so I think you probably need to do it again.
All right, well, then I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor and a second for employee group insurance renewal. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed, motion carries. Next item, item 3, Sandbox Grant Application. Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Request board approval for submitting a grant application under the FTA Mobility on Demand Sandbox Program for the development of an integrated mobile fare payment application. We have details here below if you have any questions. Also, Grant is working on this application presently. It's due July 5th, so we're asking the board to approve this grant application.
So moved.
Have a motion on the floor and a second.
Mr. Chairman,
Excuse me,
can we ask
Bill.
Grant just to tell us a little bit about what this actually is, do you mind?
Sure, I don't mind. So at last month's board meeting, we first heard of this program from FTA. It's a new program, and really the idea is to encourage innovative partnerships and technology that enhance mobility at the local level. It's a really vague description of their program, but that's intended to, encourage these, innovative technologies. So we put our heads together with the lobbyists that we have in DC to come up with this idea for developing a smartphone application that integrates mobile payment for bike share, transit, and for parking. So the application is going to be scalable to include a variety of features, including schedules, maps, potentially even a rewards program for users. But as Curtis mentioned, it's due on July 5th, so we'll be finishing up over the next couple weeks.
Good, thank you.
That's the grant that Jack was talking about.
Jack and Carolina, yes.
Got it.
And it's good that we have him on board now because he knows how to do those grant applications and you know what he's been doing since he's been here in this short period of time. We're going to see some really good results out of that because he's been successful in other areas for doing those things.
So we should name him Grant.
This will be a good test.
Okay, let's go again. They need the vote now on the Sandbox Grant application.
Need a motion?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next, the Executive Director's report. Curtis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Fixed route had a decrease in service from April compared to last year. And over the KPIs here, our farebox revenue is $17.79 for the month of April, which is still within the farebox budgeted farebox recovery ratio. Our complaints, as you can see, were down drastically, and our trending for the year compared to last year is just about half. We had one more accident this past April as we did the previous year, but we're still trending under last year. Our productivity, which is the passengers per hour, is down 2 on average, but trending from last year, we are still running the same as last year. Paratransit, basically the complaints are down there, and we're trending almost half for the year as well, so that's good news. We did have an accident in paratransit for April, but we're still trending the same as last year, and our productivity was equal to April of last year, but for the year we're trending higher, which is good. And then we did have an employee injury in April. So on the next page, we look for our KPIs. Productivity has to be greater or equal to 18, and we're at 20. Our gross cost per revenue mile has to be less than or equal to $6.95. We're at $6.04. Safety, we're looking at, we want to be 2 or less preventable accidents, and so we're at per 100,000 revenue miles, we're at 1.24. Complaints, 10 per 100,000 passengers, we're at 7. The mean distance between vehicle failures, as we've talked about each month, is getting closer to the 12,000, so we want to stay above that, and that just has to do with the fact that our fleet is so old. And our on-time performance continues to go up. It's up to 84% for the year. If there are any questions on the executive direction report, I'll take that.
I just have a comment. You said, I think in one of the prior meetings, that ridership nationally was down.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, I struggle with this a little bit, and I really see the importance of public transportation, but it does, I think we have a lot of challenges in front of us as far as making public transportation an acceptable and usable form of transportation. Because when I look at the number of 18 passengers per hour, and you think of what it costs to run a transit system, I think there's, and please don't get me wrong, I think this group has really done well, and especially managing the money and where we are right now. I think the ship is definitely turning, we're on the right track. But I see this as a challenge to look at this number and see what we can do to increase this number. I wish that people would consider public transportation and get out of their cars and think about this, because for all the money that's spent, I want to see more people benefiting from it. It's just, when I look at that number of 18, that's, I see a lot of room for us moving forward with this. That's all, it's just a comment.
Anything else on that?
Just a point to note, and I agree with you, Ms. Stone. It's important to understand how our ridership is moving, and the next month we'll be bringing to the board for a vote to do a origin destination study, so we can better understand the shifts in the demographics and the shifts in the population, so we can take our routes and see where we need to streamline them or move them and modify them so that we can capitalize on the ridership that's out there. That study has not been done before, and it's really important that we do that so that we can capitalize on any shifts in the population. Just to run routes like we've always done, is we're in a day and age where we need to stay ahead of the curve, and I believe that's one of the keys to doing it, and so that'll be presented to the board next month.
Thank you. I mean, this is no criticism on us, it's a challenge. That's the way I look at it.
Next on the agenda is the unit updates, and this is for information only. Number one, service delivery report. Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to note, just on the first page, the ridership decline. We had one less weekday in this April than we did last April, so that does affect it to some point. I just wanted to point that out. Paratransit up 9.1%. We see that it's always around the double-digit mark, but we have. It seems that we've contained it to that. I know it rose up very sharply and got up to even 15%. It seems like we're hovering around the 10% mark each month, which is good news. If you would please turn with me to page 6. Again, we see this every month compared to last year at the bottom of the wheelchairs that we continue to board our fixed route system. 35% increase, and we've seen about 30% every single month, which is good. That's good to see. Page 8, if you look at the paratransit certifications in the middle of the page, I wanted to point out that we had 12 new certifications and 5 recertifications, 7 functional assessments out of those, and 5 of those 7s have passed, and we do have 3 appeals still waiting to be heard by the appeals committee. And then finally, if you could please turn to page 13. I just wanted to point out the 86% for the month of April on the on-time performance for fixed route is really a testament to our operators and our maintenance staff as our buses continue to break down and we continue to have to respond to that. It affects our on-time performance, so to keep it this high considering these factors is admirable. So I just wanted to point that out, and that's all I have for the service delivery order.
questions?
Maybe you could, I don't know if the whole board has heard this, how many bus breakdowns do you average a day?
During the summer, so far, we've been looking at about 3 to 4 a day.
Wow.
Which is, and again, a lot of the buses are well beyond their useful life. It's always a challenge to keep them on the road running, at that age. But we're hopeful that we can get some new buses in and change that. It won't just change it for like the fact that our on-time performance will go up and our reliability, which is also key to ridership, but the fact that our maintenance costs will go down, that's going to be huge.
Can you maybe explain how you have to rescue these people when the bus breaks down?
Typically, there's a variety of ways because we have to get our customers to their destination. So we typically send out a replacement bus, and they board the new bus and then they continue on. Hopefully, that's not a long delay. Our maintenance department is very quick to respond to that. But there have been times, especially with the Airport Express, we'll take a car or a van out there to take them to the airport because that's a little more time constraint on getting them to their destination, so to speak.
You told us at the finance meeting occasionally you had to send several of your little rescue trucks to a bus because you don't have a big fixed bus.
If we don't have
that
a
can
fixed
handle
bus,
the passengers, so you're sending multiple smaller units.
yes, sir.
Rescue.
If we don't have a fixed bus to replace it, we will. We'll send a couple vans. The bottom line is we got to get our customers to where they need to go. But that's the challenge that we see every day, and during the summer even more so, with the air conditioning systems breaking down and hoses and belts, and it's just the list goes on.
Helen?
I would imagine that certainly that does not help with our public perception if you are a transit rider and you're trying to get from point A to point B and the bus breaks down. That doesn't leave a very good taste in your mouth. So we definitely, I hope, can get some new buses.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I think that would affect our ridership as well.
It's also going to really affect new ridership.
That's what I mean.
I mean, for somebody like me, if I decide to take the bus and it breaks down in my first trial,
Right.
you've lost me forever.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Priscilla?
Yeah, I was gonna say the effect that it has on your ridership, but I'd like to also ask the question, are these the same buses that breaks down, continuously?
It's yes and no. I mean, sometimes they're the same, a lot of times they're not. It's more than 60% of our fleet is beyond its useful life, so it's typically not the same buses, because if it was, we would do some kind of an overhaul to them. So it's just spread across the fleet in general.
Large number in the fleet itself.
Yes, ma'am. We do have, as you approved already last year, we do have 15 buses that are going to be completely rehabbed, and we're expecting to get our first bus back at the end of July, and every month thereafter. So that's certainly going to help as well. So the addition of new buses as well as our rehab, we're looking for almost a complete fleet overhaul is what we need.
And then the system development, anything?
Any more questions?
Yeah, not on the same topic, but on page 13, just wanted to see exactly what these fixed route things at the bottom of the page were, the orders, the 1, 2, and 3 under scheduled projects.
We're continuing to try to look at capitalizing on the city's work out there, is looking at bus stops and new amenities for that street and certainly that area. We had talked about that previously, and we're actually at the point where we need to get a meeting set up with the right people in the city so we can see what we can do.
So that's the Waters Avenue streetscape project, right?
Yes, sir.
And then the summer session,
SSU summer session, basically the buses that they would want us to provide for their summer session, they let us know. And then the orientation coming up in August, they've asked for additional buses for that as well. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and agree to that, but we still need to set up a meeting with the university on the overall strategy.
and then the July board change.
that's basically, we do a board change 3 to 4 times a year, and basically operators have an opportunity to pick a different run on the same run. So whatever, and so it's just, they bid on their shifts. Yeah.
Okay, marketing, communications, Shalonda.
Good morning.
You wanna come up a little closer? Thank you.
In addition to the items that are already included in your board packet, we have posted our advertising social media policies to the website. Those have been board approved, and we're looking forward to the RFP submission for due July 1st. We are very excited about transitioning our passes from the old brand to our new brand, which is kind of long overdue, but we're excited about receiving those cards, our fare cards, in about 2 weeks. And we hope that you all have subscribed and have received our latest newsletter that came out last week. And if you haven't, then we can certainly get those. And that has a wealth of information about some of the updates throughout the entire organization that are coming up. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Outreach mobility, Valerie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have some bullet points in your packet about outreach, recent outreach, but I'd like to mention in particular the Dump the Pump program that we shared with the city and the Savannah bicycle campaign last Thursday. And I'd like to thank Mr. Durance and also Cedric for participating. It was quite an experience.
We lost.
Hopefully we came in second.
We tied for second.
We tied for second this
Oh,
year.
you do 1 year and
But actually, Mr. Durance, Cedric was there early. He was a little bit overzealous, so he caught the bus before the rest of the competition caught. But he was there early. But I'd just like to thank you for your participation, and hopefully we'll be able to have you participate again next year. If you have any questions or comments, I'll take them at this time.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Planning and legislative matters, Grant.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We have some bullet points in your packet, and we've actually discussed most of them already. The sandbox program and the application for that grant is in development. The origin destination study, will have more to report on that next month. But I did want to highlight that a few weeks ago we hired some temporary help to go out and ride some of our routes. We did a sample of 3 routes over 3 days and gathered manual ridership from those days and those routes, and was able to compare that data to our fare box data to see if there were any discrepancies. We saw some discrepancies. We'll be working on those with the fare box vendor over the next few months. But we've also been riding the routes ourselves to understand where people are getting on and off the bus. The more data that we can have as a planning department, the better we can, develop our routes in a fashion that meets the needs of the community. So we'll be collecting data and better data over the next few months.
Any questions for Grant? Okay, thank you. All right, next is the financial update. Terry?
Good morning. The financial update is in your packet. Month-to-date and year-to-date financials are on trend. We're seeing a negative variance in revenue, but it's also a corresponding reduction in expenses. So we had a fairly good month-to-date, caught up a little on our year-to-date, and are only $1,300 behind budget, which in my world runs to zero. So we're doing pretty good. Also included are the new trending reports. You'll have an income statement, a balance sheet, and a cash flow statement for each of the first 10 months, and a year-to-date total. So I can answer any questions anyone may have.
A comment on the balance sheet.
Yes, sir.
Usually, when you compare April of one year, you compare April of the year before.
Yes, sir.
It almost looks like in your balance sheet, you're trying to blend it with the cash flow. So I think you should be showing April 30th, 2016 against April 30th, 2015.
Yes,
The
sir.
balance sheet is a point in time.
Right, we're using the June 30 balance sheet from last audit as our point in time reference. We hadn't completed the balance sheet process prior to that, but we can go back and create those statements so that we'll be able to show you April.
Yeah, I think you need to do that because June, you're in an entirely different spot.
Right.
As far as your money and your payables, receivables. So I
And
think you need
yes.
to compare month to month.
Yes, sir, we can do that, and starting this year, we had those amounts, but we'll have to get staff to go back and recreate the balance sheets for the prior month-to-date periods to be able to show it that way. But we can.
I think you should.
Yes, sir.
Terry,
Yes.
this actually goes back to previous agenda items, but I noticed that advertising revenue was half of what was projected.
It's basically the same net. Prior to last year, and historically, CAT has always reported revenue gross, which included the commission to the vendor. But our auditor asked us last year to change that presentation, whereby we only record as revenue on our books, our piece, and then the piece that goes to him as a commission is recorded in the accounts payable.
Okay, so it wasn't a change in the revenue to us?
No, not at all. It's a presentation change. The reduction in revenue had a corresponding reduction in expense in G&A contracted services.
Any other questions for Terry? Okay. Next, item 7 is the executive session, and it's for personnel matters.